I found out my friend's husband was having an emotional affair with a woman who wanted his money, but I couldn't tell his wife because she got me my job. I had to choose between keeping my job or telling her the truth about his emotional affair. Hi Reddit, I, 38F, met Billy, 42M, about 4 years back through an online gaming community. We started as gaming friends, just playing together and chatting about strategies and new releases. Over time, we became actual friends. My fiancé Victor, 38M, and Billy hit it off too. Jillian, 43F, Billy's wife, and I also became close after meeting her. The four of us seemed like a perfect group. I have always followed one simple rule in my life. If there is a conversation that I would not want Victor to see or hear, then I should not be having that conversation at all. This has kept me out of trouble and helped maintain trust in my relationship. Billy never crossed any lines with me. Our conversations were always appropriate. We talked about games, shared memes, discussed movies. Nothing that would make Victor uncomfortable if he read our messages. About a year and a half ago, Victor got a major promotion at his company. We decided to throw a celebration weekend at our place. We invited several friends including Billy and Jillian who lived about 5 hours away. This was going to be the first time we all met in person after years of online friendship. I was looking forward to meeting Jillian especially because Billy had mentioned how wonderful she was. The weekend turned out better than I expected. Jillian and I clicked immediately. She was genuine and easy to talk to. We spent hours just chatting about everything from work to hobbies to life in general. The four of us got along so well that we started making plans for future trips together. Billy suggested a beach vacation. Jillian mentioned a mountain cabin her family owned that we could use. Victor wanted to plan a road trip. Everything seemed perfect. At that time, my company was going through massive layoffs. The entire department was on edge. Every week someone new was let go. I had started looking for jobs but the market was tough. During that celebration weekend, I mentioned my job situation to Jillian. She told me that her company was hiring and that she had been working there remotely for over 12 years. She said she would be happy to refer me if I was interested. I applied the next week. The interview process was intense. 3 rounds of interviews, a skills test, and a presentation. Jillian coached me through each stage. She told me what the managers valued, what kind of answers worked well, and how to present my experience. After 6 weeks, I got the offer. The pay was better than my previous job and it was fully remote. I was thrilled. I started working there about 8 months ago. Jillian and I worked in different departments but we chatted regularly throughout the day. She introduced me to people, helped me navigate the company culture, and made sure I settled in well. I owed her a lot. Not just for the referral but for genuinely helping me succeed there. Billy's situation was different from ours. He had been in a workplace accident several years ago that left him permanently disabled. He sued the company and won a substantial settlement. On top of that, his parents had left him a large life insurance payout when they passed. He did not need to work. He stayed home and took care of their daughter Lily, 5F, while Jillian worked from their home office. He seemed content with this arrangement. Last fall, right before Billy and Jillian were about to leave for a vacation with Lily, Billy called me. He said it was urgent and that he needed to talk. He told me he had nobody else to confide in and that he was going through something difficult. I told him I was there to listen. He started by saying he had a huge fight with his best friend Jolene, 41F. I knew about Jolene. Billy had mentioned her many times over the years. She was supposedly a college friend of both Billy and Jillian. She had visited their home multiple times. She had held Lily as a baby. Billy had helped her out financially a few times when she was between jobs or going through breakups. I had never met her but Billy always spoke highly of their friendship. Billy then told me things I wish he had kept to himself. Jolene had confessed to him that she knew he had always been attracted to her. Billy admitted to me that yes, he found her physically attractive. He said she was gorgeous but her personality had always been a turnoff for him because she was shallow. He mentioned that during their fight, Jolene had made comments about Jillian letting herself go after having Lily. That part made my stomach turn. Then Billy explained what Jolene had actually proposed to him. She told him she was tired of unsuccessful relationships and wanted to settle down. She knew Billy had money and could provide the lifestyle she wanted. She asked him to leave Jillian and Lily, move to her city, buy her a large house, and essentially let her be his kept woman. She admitted she was not physically attracted to him but said she could fulfill his needs in exchange for financial security. The condition was that he had to cut off everyone from his current life including all friends and family. Billy said Jolene had been planning this for years. While smiling at Jillian, eating their food, holding their daughter, she had been scheming to destroy their family. I laughed at first because it sounded absurd. I asked him what Jillian thought about all this. He said he had not told her. I asked him how Jolene reacted when he told her to get lost. He said he had not done that either. He said he did not want to lose Jolene as a friend and that he had actually considered her proposal. I stopped laughing. I told him that even considering this was a betrayal of Jillian. He then explained that his conversations with me were casual, just about games and memes. His conversations with Jolene were deep and emotional. They talked for hours every single day while Jillian was working in the next room. I told him he had two choices. Either leave Jillian or cut off Jolene completely and tell Jillian everything. I said Jillian deserved to know that someone she considered a friend wanted to destroy her family. Billy said he would think about it. After their vacation, Billy told me he had ended things with Jolene. But he refused to tell Jillian. He said it would only hurt her and that since nothing physical happened, there was no point in causing pain. I disagreed, but I did not push further. My view of Billy had changed completely. I started pulling back from our friendship. The problem was that I still worked with Jillian. I saw her name pop up in work chats every day. We had video calls for projects. She would mention Billy and Lily in casual conversation. Every interaction with her made me uncomfortable because I was carrying this secret. I started doing mental gymnastics to justify not telling her. Maybe it was over and Billy had made the right choice by ending it. Maybe he just had a moment of weakness where he entertained a fantasy but did not act on it. Maybe telling Jillian would only cause unnecessary pain since he had already cut Jolene off. Maybe it was better for Jillian's peace of mind to not know. I tried to convince myself that staying quiet was the right thing to do. Billy and I started talking a bit more again after a few months. I thought maybe things could go back to normal. Then about a month ago, Billy told me that Jolene was back in his life. She had begged him for forgiveness. She was going through another bad breakup and told him she needed his friendship or she did not know what she would do. Billy promised me he would keep appropriate boundaries this time and that it would not be like before. Over the following weeks, Billy mentioned Jolene more and more in our conversations. I told him I did not want to hear about her. He kept bringing her up. Finally, I told him not to mention her to me at all. I was furious that he was putting me in this position again. I worked with Jillian. I was friends with Jillian. Jillian had gotten me my job. And here was Billy, risking his marriage again with the same woman, and making me complicit by confiding in me. Billy still talked about planning couples vacations. He would send messages asking when we were free for that Europe trip we had discussed. I ignored those messages. I knew I could not sit through a dinner with them and pretend everything was fine. I have never been good at hiding what I am thinking. My face shows everything. I felt stuck. If I cut Billy out of my life, Jillian would ask why. She would press for details, especially with that Europe trip being discussed. If I told her the truth, I had no proof. The conversation happened over the phone. I live in a two-party consent state, so I could not have recorded it even if I had thought to. It would be my word against Billy's. He could deny everything or twist it to make me look like the villain. My biggest concern was my job. Jillian had been at the company for over a decade. She had seniority and strong relationships with management. If I said something and it went badly, could it affect my employment? I could not afford to lose this job. Victor and I were saving for a house. We had financial goals that depended on my income. But keeping quiet was eating at me. Every day I logged into work and saw Jillian's name, I thought about what Billy was doing behind her back. If I were in her position, I would want to know. But how could I tell her without destroying my own life in the process? I have been losing sleep over this. I keep playing out different scenarios in my head. None of them end well. I feel trapped between doing what is right and protecting my own livelihood. Update 1. I decided to wait until after Thanksgiving to do anything. I did not want to ruin the holiday for Jillian and Lily. But after the holiday, I planned to figure out a way to tell Jillian. Victor supported whatever I decided to do. He said that if I lost my job over this, we would manage. He reminded me that my mental health was more important than any job. On Thanksgiving evening, I sent a group text to Billy and Jillian wishing them a happy holiday. Jillian responded that it had not been a great day. When I asked why, she explained that Jolene's mother had been hospitalized and Billy had driven to Jolene City to be there for moral support. Jillian had hosted Thanksgiving dinner alone while Billy was with Jolene. Victor looked at me after reading that and said this was the right time. I sent another text to the group saying I was surprised Jillian was so understanding because I did not think I could be that calm about the situation. Billy responded with a question mark. Jillian called me immediately. I put her on speaker so Victor could hear. Jillian asked what I meant by my text. I said I was referring to what happened last year with Billy and Jolene before they left for vacation. Jillian told me to continue. That was when I realized Billy had never told her anything. I explained everything. The phone call from Billy, Jolene's proposal, the emotional affair, Billy refusing to cut contact, and now Jolene being back in his life. I talked for about 10 minutes straight. Then I backtracked and apologized. I said I had tried to get Billy to tell her himself. I admitted that part of why I had stayed quiet was because I was worried about my job. Jillian was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that shocked me. She said Jolene never went to college. Jolene had met Billy online about 10 years ago. Jolene had never had a steady job. She asked if there was anything else I needed to tell her. I said no. She said she had to go and hung up. I sat there staring at my phone. Victor tried to reassure me, but I barely heard him. I thought I had just ruined everything. My friendship with Jillian, my job, maybe even the relationship between our two families. I felt sick. 2 hours later, Jillian called back. She said she had just confronted Billy and Jolene together on a video call. She told me what they had said. According to them, I was the one who had propositioned Billy. They claimed I was jealous of Billy and Jolene's friendship. They said I had made comments about wondering what Jillian had that made Billy choose her. They were painting me as someone who wanted Billy's money and was trying to break up their marriage out of spite. I started shaking. Before I could respond, Victor took the phone from me. He told Jillian that he had overheard parts of the original conversation between me and Billy last year. He confirmed that everything I said was true. He told Jillian that this situation had been tearing me apart for months and he was tired of watching me suffer over it. He said he hoped she could remain professional with me at work, but that he wanted Billy out of our lives permanently. Then he hung up. I thought that was it. I thought I had lost my job and my friend. Victor held my hand, but neither of us spoke. We just sat there. 30 minutes later, I got a text from Jillian. She apologized for dragging us into this mess. She said she was mortified that I knew about Billy's behavior. She said Victor had not let her finish earlier. She was just telling me what Billy and Jolene had claimed. Then she said something that made me read the text 3 times to make sure I understood correctly. She already knew everything. She had known since last year. She just had not known until today that I also knew. Jillian explained that on their vacation last year, Billy had been acting strange. He was withdrawn and checked his phone constantly. When they got home, she went through his computer, phone, and tablet. She found everything. Messages with Jolene and with other women. It was not just Jolene. There were multiple women who Billy had been talking to online. Jolene was just the only one he had met in person. The others had been asking him for money or gifts. Jillian had already hired a lawyer months ago. She had been gathering evidence and getting her finances in order. She was planning to serve Billy with divorce papers right after Thanksgiving. When Billy left on Thanksgiving Day to be with Jolene, Jillian had taken the opportunity to change the locks on their house and start packing his belongings. She said my information and Billy's lies just made things easier for her case. She apologized again for the situation. I apologized for not telling her sooner. She said that if she had not already known the truth and read through our boring gaming conversations, she probably would not have believed me over Billy. She said it had been an impossible situation for me. I offered whatever support she needed. She thanked me and said she would let me know. We ended the call. Victor and I just looked at each other. The relief was overwhelming, but it was mixed with sadness for what Jillian was going through. Update 2. Things at work have been normal. Jillian and I still collaborate on projects and chat during the day. We have not talked much about Billy outside of work. She seems to be handling everything well, or at least she is keeping up appearances during work hours. 2 weeks ago, Jillian invited me and Victor to dinner at her place. We were hesitant at first, but she insisted. When we arrived, Lily was at Jillian's sister's house for the night. Jillian had made a nice dinner and opened a bottle of wine. After we ate, she told us what had been happening since Thanksgiving. Billy had tried to come back to the house the day after Thanksgiving. He found his belongings in boxes in the garage and the locks changed. Jillian had a security camera installed that showed him trying his key multiple times before he realized what had happened. He called her repeatedly, but she did not answer. Finally, she texted him the name of her lawyer and told him all communication needed to go through legal channels. Billy tried to get his parents' friends involved. He told them that Jillian had kicked him out without cause and was keeping him from his daughter. Jillian's lawyer sent them copies of some of the messages between Billy and the various women. That ended their involvement. Jolene had apparently stopped responding to Billy's messages after Jillian confronted them both. Jillian suspected that Jolene had only been interested in Billy as long as she thought she could get money from him without the complications of his wife knowing. Once Jillian knew everything and was divorcing him anyway, Jolene lost interest. Billy was left with nothing. Jillian had documentation of Billy's emotional affairs with multiple women. Her lawyer said this would help with custody arrangements. Jillian was asking for primary custody with Billy getting supervised visitation until Lily was older. Billy would have to pay child support despite his settlement money because he was still Lily's father. The house was in both their names, but Jillian had made all the mortgage payments from her income since Billy's accident. Her lawyer was confident she would get the house in the divorce. Billy's settlement money was his separate property, but any shared assets would be divided. Jillian said the hardest part was explaining to Lily why her father was not living with them anymore. She kept it simple and age-appropriate. She told Lily that sometimes adults cannot live together anymore, but that both parents still loved her very much. Lily asked when her father was coming home. Jillian said soon she would have 2 homes and would get to visit her father at his new place. Billy had moved in with a friend temporarily. He had been trying to reach out to mutual acquaintances to tell his side of the story. Most people were not interested in getting involved. The few who did reach out to Jillian quickly backed off after she provided some context. Jillian also mentioned that she had gone back through their finances more carefully with her lawyer. Billy had been sending money to Jolene for years. Small amounts at first, a few hundred here and there for emergencies. But in the past 2 years, he had sent her over $20,000. He had hidden it by making transfers look like other expenses or by using cash from ATM withdrawals. Jillian had the bank statements showing the pattern. She thanked us again for being supportive. She said she was doing okay and that she had a good support system with her family. Her sister had been staying over some nights to keep her company. Her parents were helping with childcare when she needed to work late or handle legal meetings. Victor asked her if she had heard from Jolene at all. Jillian laughed and said no. She said Jolene had blocked both her and Billy on everything. Jillian said it was clear Jolene had never cared about Billy as a person. She just saw someone with money who might be willing to support her. When that became complicated, Jolene moved on. Before we left that night, Jillian pulled me aside. She said she wanted to make sure I knew that she did not blame me for any of this. She said I had been put in a terrible position and that she was sorry Billy had done that to me. She said our working relationship would not change and that she hoped we could still be friends outside of work too. Update 3. The divorce is moving forward. Jillian filed in early December and Billy was served with papers right before Christmas. He tried to contest the custody arrangement, but Jillian's evidence was solid. His lawyer apparently advised him to accept the proposed terms because fighting would only cost him money and he would likely lose anyway. Billy reached out to me in January. He sent a long message saying I had ruined his life. He said if I had just minded my own business, things would have worked out fine. He claimed he had been planning to tell Jillian eventually, on his own timeline. He said I had cost him his marriage and his daughter. He demanded that I tell Jillian the truth about how I had supposedly come on to him. I did not respond. I blocked him on everything. Victor saw the message before I blocked him and said it was proof that Billy had learned nothing. He was still trying to manipulate and blame others for his choices. Jillian's divorce should be final by spring. She got the house as expected. Billy has supervised visitation with Lily every other weekend. He has to pay child support and half of Lily's expenses like childcare and medical costs. He fought against the supervised visitation, but the judge agreed with Jillian's lawyer that given Billy's history of poor judgment and his tendency to involve inappropriate people in his life, supervision was warranted until Lily was older and could voice any concerns herself. Jillian seems lighter now. At work, she participates more in meetings and has taken on a new project she seems excited about. She mentioned maybe dating again eventually but said she was in no rush. Her main focus was making sure Lily adjusted well to the new arrangement. Billy's friend apparently got tired of him staying there and gave him a deadline to find his own place. Billy moved into a small apartment about an hour from Jillian. He posted on social media about starting fresh and focusing on being the best father he could be. Jillian showed me the post and rolled her eyes. She said he was welcome to perform for social media as long as he paid his child support on time. I ran into Billy's parents' friend at a grocery store last month. She approached me and apologized for initially believing Billy's story. She said once Jillian showed them the evidence, it was clear what had been happening. She said they had removed Billy from their social gatherings and had sent Jillian a gift basket as an apology for doubting her. Victor and I are doing fine. This whole situation made me realize how important it is to have a partner who supports you even when things are complicated. He never once made me feel bad for being put in that position or for how I handled it. Jillian and I had lunch together last week outside of work. We talked about normal things like TV shows and weekend plans. It felt good to just be friends without this heavy secret between us. She mentioned that the Europe trip we had all discussed was obviously not happening, but maybe someday she and Lily would go and I could join them. I told her that sounded nice. As for Jolene, Jillian did some digging online and found out that Jolene had moved to another state. Her social media showed her with a new man who appeared to be older and well off based on the photos. Jillian said it was exactly what she expected. She said people like Jolene never changed, they just found new targets. The situation taught me that sometimes keeping quiet to protect yourself is not wrong. I had beaten myself up for months about not telling Jillian immediately. But Jillian said that if I had told her before she had her own evidence, it could have gone very differently. Billy could have convinced her that I was lying. I might have lost my job and my friend. The timing worked out the way it needed to. I still work at the same company. My job is secure. Jillian and I maintain a good professional relationship and a growing friendship outside of work. Billy is out of our lives completely. Things are not perfect, but they are stable, and that is enough.